Welcome, viewers, to another wonderful broadcast of Debruary 2021. Tonight's guest is Dana Lynn. She is the author of The Prescription of Superwoman. She's an author, an inspirational speaker, and a life purpose coach who promotes self-love, self-awareness, self-acceptance, and self-care. So we had to have her on the show with all that, her background is perfect. In Superwoman, she shares her story of life, love, perseverance, power, and using what she calls the prescriptions, which directed her to become a better person. So I can't wait for you to meet her. Welcome, Dana, to the show.
Hello, Deborah. Thank you for having me. I am
Oh,
so
I'm just so
excited.
excited.
Me too. I love this. This is just
Yes,
my favorite topic.
yes, this is that. I mean, this just worked out perfectly.
Yes,
So
it
now
did.
let's start by giving a brief overview of the prescription of Superwoman and what the overall message was that you wanted to convey, why you wrote it.
So I wrote it, or what made me write it was in 2006, I struggled with seizures and strokes. I got really, really sick. I was in a wheelchair. I was bedridden. I actually was partially deaf in my left ear. And during those times, I kept asking God, why me? Why me? Why am I going through this? Because all I wanted to do was go to school. All I wanted to do was become this. And one day I heard on the radio, actually Ricky Smiley's, and he said, instead of asking us why me when it comes to situations that God puts us in, ask why not me. And that really sparked me. And so fast forward, I started asking God, why not me? Why not choose me to go through all of this? And God taught me was that you're going to be the person that's going to teach people not only about me, but about how they can get through things. But you have to be a testimony first. Because correct, we don't ever, believe a person if they said, oh yeah, girl, God saved me. But then when we see a test to a testimony, it's like, oh, wait a minute. I can believe what you're saying. So that's what made me write this book, to share my triumphs, to where I am now, and my tests, to testimonies, and my message is that everything that we're going through has a reason for it. And these were my
Hmm.
reasons.
Well, let's talk about worth.
Let's talk about work.
Know
Yes.
your worth, know your value. This term, I swear, is used so much, but I want to know, I think a lot of people don't really understand what it means. So
Correct.
if you could kind of give us a little definition, how you're using it.
Know your worth for me, especially when we hear know your worth and add text. First, knowing your worth is knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what you believe in. Adding tax means adding value to all those things you already defined, and also making sure that no matter what you do, you're only depositing into that worth, not distributing out to the point where you're in the negatives. So that's what it means to me.
Okay. Now I'm gonna ask you about that in a little bit too, about that, the deposits and the withdrawals thing. So
Yes.
now in your introduction, you had this very interesting paragraph. So I have to
Yeah.
read this. It says,
Yes.
whether it's relationships, jobs, people, or material things,
Mm-hmm.
most people believe their worth is determined by what they have, who they're with, the car they drive, the title or position they hold at work, marriage, how big their house is, and so on. I had to learn a valuable lesson in my life that worth isn't determined when you have everything, but when you have absolutely nothing. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. We got to ask her what she mean. What?
And what made me even think about that, as you in the beginning, I was talking about my daughter. You know how teenagers, their worth is very small, whether if it's in shoes or something. And then as we get older, we start thinking about all of that. And I said, what happens is that everything that we have, we can add because we can see it, correct? We can
Correct.
see the cars, we can see the new position, we can see the bank account. But what if all of that is taken away and you can see absolutely nothing? How do you define yourself? Are you still worthy if the bank account gets into the negative? Because now you can't see the money drafting in, right? But you can see yourself. And you can see the person who can make that happen, meaning that you can go from negative to a positive. It requires you to do the work. So that's what I meant by What if all of that was taken away? How do you define yourself? You define yourself by finding you first, because those things don't define you. You define you. You create those things and they just add value or tax to you. That's it.
I see. I got you. Okay. So when we're told that we're enough, right? We're told that we're enough.
Yep,
But
yep,
how
yep.
can people really believe that? And I have to say that, especially when it comes to trying to have a man, dating, getting married, what you look like, your figure, I mean, women are in constant competition with each other over these
Ooh,
things. And
girl.
what is that? I mean, I don't do that, but I've witnessed it in a
Uh-huh.
lot of women. And I think that when they have that focus outside themselves like that, it tends to they I don't know, it's like they don't have any real sense of who they are and their own value. It's all defined by other people's opinion of them. If other
Yeah.
people say that they're pretty, then they feel good. If other people say, well, I'm fine, you're fine, you're this and that, then they believe it, but they don't say that for themselves. What's going on? Why is self-esteem such a struggle for so many women?
It's a social mechanism. We are fed by how people how people feel about us and how people perceive us, right? And social media actually does an incredible job of that, because it makes us feel, okay, if I got 1,000 likes, then hey, I must be popping. But if I only got two, you know what I'm saying? But if
Right.
I only got two, I ain't about nothing. But luckily, I was raised before social media got popped. No, before we even had social media, period. Before we had cell phones,
Okay.
we
Yeah,
we
same here.
learned. You know what I'm saying? I know, I look a little different, but I look young, but I'm old. But but I learned one of the great things to find worth within yourself and knowing and being enough is writing affirmations. That's one of the things I always do, and I write down what made me feel powerful today. And I always write what made me powerful, not what the person did powerfully, but what made me powerful. So if it was getting an A, that was awesome. If me and my mama didn't argue, that was awesome, and I continue that even at my age now. I write down affirmations. What makes me powerful? And what makes me powerful is that, hey, I'm a great mother. Hey, I didn't burn the food today. It can be something as small as that to something as awesome as, you know what? I did everything on my planner and I didn't miss nothing. Those are the things that make you enough. You know why? Because you completed it. You did it. Nobody else. And I didn't need not a like. I didn't need a man. I just needed self. And I think
Gotcha.
a lot of us feel that we are only acknowledgeable if other people give us that right. And that's
Right.
where the knowing your worth comes in, because you're giving people or telling people, hey, without you, I don't have, worth within myself. I don't have, anything to deposit in. And it's like, well, you don't need no people.
Gotcha. Well, when you talked about these 5 tips
Mm-hmm,
that
mm-hmm,
help a woman become enough. Can you
mm-hmm.
kind of highlight those real quick?
Yes. So the highlight, those tips were, and the first thing was, I'm going off the top of my head, so forgive me.
Oh, no problem.
So one of the first ones was actually what I believe was, can you go get my book for me? Right there. I'm
Well, I
sorry.
have it here. Stop
Oh,
stressing. Stop
yeah,
stressing was
okay, help me.
one.
Stop stressing, because girl, I don't remember all of it. Stop stressing. So that was the thing I had to learn within myself. And I think as mothers, we have to stop stressing. We have to stop stressing over what we cannot fix, what we did not have, what we did not do. Those are the things that we allow to diminish us, because everything is not going to be perfect. Let's just say it there. None of us are
Right.
perfect. We are not. We're humans. Um, so those are the things that I learned to do, was stop stressing. The second thing was, and what was the second? I'm sorry.
Forgive yourself and others.
Oh Lord Jesus, I got it right here, Jesus. I keep telling you I look young, but I'm old. I'm getting there now.
Girl, it's called COVID brain. Everybody's
Girl,
got it
oh
from
my
being
God.
inside, breathing that recycled air too
Yes,
much.
yes. Forgive yourself and others. So I said, forgiving is not for the other person, but rather for yourself. We have to learn to forgive people, even if they can't, they can't forgive us or they won't apologize to us. That's one of the strongest things that you can ever do is forgive somebody who will never apologize to you. And it's forgiving because it's allowing you to tell you, I am not going to stress over you anymore. You don't have permission. You don't have the right to be in my heart, my brain, anything else anymore. I'm letting you go. And when I'm letting in, it's everything that serves me purpose. That's it. The other thing I said is stop worrying. We worry so much. And one of the things I love seeing is when people say we can either pray or be a warrior. Pray warriors, pray, and then let God do whatever He gonna do. That means that if it's gonna happen the way you're supposed to, it does. If it doesn't happen the way it's supposed to, it doesn't. But you worrying puts stress on yourself. In fact,
Hmm.
baby, our faces gotta look good. You know what I'm saying? That's you worrying start putting stress on your face.
Yes. Blood pressure gets all high, all kind of stuff happens.
Man, and then you have to learn how to trust the process. What I love about things is I always tell my daughter, trust the process. She wants to be a cosmetologist and a nail tech, right? And she's always working in it. She's always trying it. And you have to remember things do not happen overnight. Your enough is not going to happen overnight. But if you continue staying consistent with the process that you're doing to make it, you will start seeing small increments of yourself. So where you thought, girl, I can't do that. Now you feel beautiful about yourself every day and you don't even know where it came from. It's because you trust the process and you stay consistent with it. The other thing is always enjoy the right now. 2020 taught us we got to start learning how to enjoy the right now, right? Because you will miss some of God's greatest blessings, like all of them, when you rush things. And baby, 2020 was a word. We was ready to rush through that one, but
I could just go and just rip that out of my calendar altogether and be quite fine with that.
but it taught us to trust. Trust, enjoy the right now because many people got to enjoy time with their kids. People learn how to build businesses. And they got to see, hey, I'm enjoying something that many times I say I don't have time for. So
Hmm.
those are things. Yeah,
Okay, now let's just jump up to chapter 3
let's
and
get
talk
here.
about this. Know your worth, then add tax.
Yes,
That's the
baby.
title of this chapter. And you discuss learning your worth through withdrawals and deposits that you allow people, quote, especially men, to
Mm-hmm.
make. And I
Mm-hmm.
want to like, okay, I wonder what she means. Can you give me some examples? What do you
So
mean
what
by
I
withdrawal and deposits in this context?
So what I meant by that is when we start to date, we're always dating somebody, looking into what they have to offer, what they can bring to the table, blah, 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 blah. And it always looks good because they always put on a great front. But over time, what happens was that while I thought I was getting deposits, meaning they were adding to what I had to offer, they were slowly taking away. They were slowly doing the things that I thought I had got away from with the cheating or the lying and all that type of stuff. And I realized I was allowing that. When your bank account, when Bank of America starts taking money out of your account, right? And you didn't spend that money. What's the first thing you do? Hey, you call, hey, something going on. I wasn't doing that. I was allowing it to keep happening, keep happening. And then I would be in sorrow and debt because I'm wondering, man, why he do me like that? You saw it, you knew it. You didn't pause for the cause and say, hey, no, I don't allow that. So that's what I mean by that.
Okay, so you got to have some good boundaries in place.
You got to have a lot of boundaries in place and you got to stick with them. I don't care how good he looks. I don't care how much money he has. We have to remind ourselves that standards are necessary. They're not an option. That's it.
Okay. And you described where you had like this, aha moment where
Mm-hmm,
you
mm-hmm,
realized that you chose men by the worth that you believe you had due to your flaws.
mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, I think that's a lot of women's problem. They
Yeah.
don't feel that they are worth that they deserve anybody who's better than the knucklehead that they're currently involved with.
That
So is that am I interpreting this correctly?
you hit it on the nail. Yeah, that was definitely my interpretation. So what happens is that if we see a nice fine guy, he's got his body, he's going to work every day, he's got a 401k, and he maybe doesn't have a whole lot of kids, and he's going to get his body right, and we feel, okay, well, yeah, I ain't into all that healthy stuff. I got all these kids. I won't reach out. I won't try to get to him. I'll go to the guy that I know is a bad baby daddy. You know what I'm saying? He living with his mama, but I feel we're compatible because we in the same boat. Does that make sense? Like, you
Yes.
don't see yourself worthy enough to, like, maybe the guy that has everything I don't have can help me build me up and get there, because I can believe myself that, hey, the position I'm in is not forever.
Right.
And that was my mindset at that time. I felt like I can't get him. I can't afford him. I don't have it in my bank account. I don't have enough of myself to pull myself out of the slums and want the work. You know what I'm saying? So that's what a lot of us do.
Interesting. Okay, well now we move on. We're going to talk about some of these folks on YouTube, and it's oh, they're awful. They're awful. One of the things is that I've really noticed over the past few years is they push this agenda that women need to settle, especially Black women. We need to settle. Our standards are too high. You want a guy who's over 6 feet tall. There's hardly any men like that. You want a man who makes a six-figure income. Black men don't make that much money, and so everything that women say that they want, they tell us that we don't deserve it. They don't know you. This is just a blanket, charge that they put out.
Of course.
But you have, hundreds of thousands of young girls looking at this stuff and hearing this, and they're getting beaten over the head with it day after day after day after day. How can we counter that? What do we need to say as, the elders, or what they call us now, the boomers, you boomers, the boomers, but the elder women, to kind of
Yeah.
help protect the other ones and get their minds to where they understand that this is not something that you need to pay the least bit of attention to.
I think there needs to be a big old meme that has settle on it, and there needs to be a big old emoji with the middle finger on it. That's the perfect example to show them, forget that settlement. You do not take a settlement if you and another person run into each other. Well, you take a settlement if you know that person's in the wrong, and they say, well, here, you just get this settlement real quick and we'll let it go, be bygones, correct? You wouldn't do that.
Hmm.
So why would you do that for your love life? Why would you do that for your future life? Like, that makes no sense to me. Like, that's a perfect example. Like, I hate when I hear women do that. And again, I have a 15-year-old, and we talk about this all the time. And it's one of the things I tell her: you are worth everything that you ever think in your mind and everything that you ever want to do. Don't you ever settle for somebody just to have somebody.
Right.
And my father taught me that a long time ago. And I think that's what happens, is that we don't have enough males stepping up and saying, wait a minute, sis, I don't want the woman that settles. I want the woman that I have to work for. You feel me? Because real men will tell you, I don't want the woman I can settle for, because I can settle and go to the strip club, and that's a settlement, you know, or I can pick whatever that smiles at my face. More men need to admit and say, hey, I don't want the woman that settles. I want what I have to work for. I want the woman with standards. I want the woman to tell me no. I want the woman that wants for her own. And if I leave the table, she waves and says, okay, bye-bye. Have a great day. You know what I'm saying? And I will say I got that mindset from my father. My father always told me, he said, don't you ever settle. He said, and don't you ever, ever chase a man.
Yeah. That's the number one thing. I think women even proposing to guys, ask him out, proposing, paying for the dates, driving him around like they driving Miss Daisy. I don't understand it. I'm not doing none of that.
Every time I see, and I think it was on TikTok one time, and this woman actually proposed to the guy. And they had a sign and it said, is this the new normal? And I said, hell no,
No.
because you can't ask me to do it. I would not. I said, I'm not getting down on my knees. Is you crazy? I said, I have a dog and I don't get down on my knees for my dog. Now, is you crazy?
That's the thing,
I,
they're saying that, that they're, these modern women and they should propose and the guys want the women to pay half on dates or pay for the whole thing. It's just a mess. So I can see how so many young women would be very confused about how they
Mhm,
fit into that and how they navigate that. If they have a high opinion of themselves, they feel
mhm,
like if
mhm.
they keep that stance, they'll never get a date because the guys want the women who are easy.
And I guess my biggest question is, what's wrong with waiting for the right one? That is always my question. I mentor teenagers all the time, and I always tell them, I said, the real one will never have you waiting forever. That's number one.
Right.
A man always knows what he wants. That's number two. And number three, if he don't know what he wants, don't let him drag you along because you ain't no damn puppy, you ain't no damn animal, you not nothing. I said, so while he's waiting, you stack your money, you continue to know who you are, know your worth. And I tell them, I said all the time, I said, always have your standards in the mirror. And whenever you forget who you are, you look at those standards. And what are those standards? I am a child of God. I am beautiful. I'm going to be, and they always add to their standards. I said, so anytime a guy tells you, oh, you lost a good one, nah. Only time I lose is when I lose my standards.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
how I
they
feel.
do that to try to guilt trip. Nobody else is going to love you like me. You want too much. That's unrealistic.
And
As
I'll be
you
like,
see, I've
okay,
heard
well,
it all.
and I said, well, you know what? When we leave, I'll figure it out.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. And then that's the thing with me. They want you to do all this, but when you have a baby, they go, you don't see them no more.
Yeah.
They want you to go half on everything but a baby.
Well, my own thing, I try to, convince young girls that that's not the move to make. You want to do something with yourself. You want to travel and go places and do things and stuff. I mean, kids are great, don't get me wrong, but there's a time and a place for everything. And if you
Absolutely.
not really established yet yourself, that's going to be something that's going to really weigh you down. I mean, you want to be able to fly while you're young and free, and
Yep.
so you don't want to, I mean, like I said, babies are cute. They're lovely little kids, raising, being a mom. I mean, all that is great. But do you need to do that at like
That right now.
19,
And that's
20?
yes, and that's another thing. This social standard of you have to have this by this age. You have to do this by this age. Who said that? Like I'm trying to find it because I don't know, and I'm a psychologist. I'm trying to figure that out. There is no certain age that you're supposed to be married. There's no certain age that you're supposed to have kids. Hell, there's no certain age you're supposed to go back to school. I'm 37 and back in school, and I
Oh,
love it. I love it.
well, I think sometimes, as you get more mature, you appreciate it more. Because,
Hmm.
as a youngster, you just do it because your parents are making you. But, after you get out and hit in the workforce and stuff and you see the value of it, you're like, hmm. And so you go back and you have a whole different attitude.
Yeah, we have to, and like you say, we as Black women have to start taking hold of our younger generation and telling them, learn who you are first. That is the most important thing. Figure out who you are. Date. Now, when I say date, it doesn't mean just give your body to everybody, but
Right.
date. Get to know who, because as you're dating, you're learning who you are. You're learning what you will accept, what you won't accept. And as you date, take notes. I used to, okay, when I dated little Meek Meek, I ain't like when he did X, Y, and Z. Okay, that's a no, this a yes. Maybe I
Meek
can deal
Meek,
with this.
no, not
Little Meek
Meek
Meek.
Meek.
I'm like, look, when I dated him, I'm like, and you have to, but we got to understand and hear me out. Singlehood is not a disease. Singlehood is probably the best place you can be to learn about yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Without all the extra, someone pulling at you. That's why I'm like, I was, trying to date somebody. And then I decided I didn't really want to because I'm trying to do all this stuff and I barely have enough hours in the day to do what I want to do for myself.
Exactly.
Then you have to
Exactly.
figure out how to carve out space to, for this other person, to talk to
Exactly.
them and deal with them and spend time with looking at them and, all that. I just don't want to do that. I just want to be selfish with my time right now. And so I
And
decided I wasn't going to date anymore. Not right now.
yes. And I love what you just said, selfish. I teach them be selfish. I tell my daughter all the time, be selfish with who you are. Now, don't be selfish around the house because you live here. Okay.
But right.
But when it comes to your heart, when it comes to what you want to do, when it comes to your standards, when it comes to when you're looking at the future, be selfish with yourself. And if you decide, hey, right now I don't want to add anybody else, I just want to accomplish X, Y, and Z right now, do that. That's selfish. My best friend, she was like, are you dating anybody? And I said, no. She was like, why not, girl? You got to be dating somebody. I said, I am being selfish right now. I'm in a place where I'm able, like you said, to accomplish all of the things I've been wanting to do. I do not want to add anybody else in my mix. If I want to cuddle, I have a doll. The end.
There you go.
And I'm learning every day. It's okay to be selfish.
Yeah,
And
I
I
wonder why so many women didn't get that message. I don't know, being raised with three brothers, I was with the only girl. It was easy to be selfish because I was
yeah.
the only one, but it's just something I see a lot of women and they feel bad if they don't
Mhm.
give everything to other people or do for other people first.
Yeah. And they also feel bad if they don't have a man at a certain time. And I'd be like, girl, all
Mm,
of my friends are either engaged or married. Do you know I'm sitting at the only table without a ring? And I'd be like, hey, give me another mimosa. Because I'm not feeling bad about it at all. And it's because I'm at a place where I know who I am, what I stand for, what I want to accomplish. And when it's time, I'll add that other person, but I don't see that addition. I don't want to add that extra tax.
right.
And
Well,
I
that's
think
smart that you know yourself.
but it took
So
a while to get there though. It was hard to get there. I was that woman that always thought I needed somebody to be with. One boyfriend didn't work, then I'd bring in another. And it wasn't until I finally hit rock bottom that I realized you don't even know who you are. That's why you keep going to these different people. You're trying to
mhm,
find yourself in somebody else. Find you first. Figure out what you like. Don't like ice cream because he likes ice cream. Like ice cream because you like to eat it, you
right.
know? And that's what happened. I started losing myself. So when I say I was, withdrawing or depositing or negatives rather, I was negating myself to the point I didn't know who I was anymore. What do
Oh
I like
boy.
to do? Yeah. I would wear weave just because I knew guys liked it. I'm bald headed now and I love it.
But it suits your face.
And it took me 6 years to get here. 6 years to figure out, you know what? Let me spend time with me. Let me spend time with Dana and figure out what Dana likes to do.
It reminds me of that scene in The Runaway Bride. Remember, she had
Mm-hmm.
been trying, she was trying all the different kinds of eggs. Remember
Yep.
that?
Yep.
And I said that was like, okay, I get it. She just did not know she didn't know what kind of eggs she liked. She always liked what the guys liked.
Yep. I was that girl. Oh, you like black, you wear all black. Okay, I wear all black too. Ain't that cute? Girl, I ain't got nothing all black. I ain't gonna do all that. But it took a while to get there. So I understand where some women are because they
Right.
don't know who they are and they're almost afraid to be by themselves because then you're in a position where, well, what do I do? Okay, well, where do I go? Because you're so used to doing what somebody else has been doing that now the slate is clean, but how do I write it?
Right. Some of them even they even do like they put aside their dreams and goals and aspirations and hobbies and interests, everything else, and focus on that man. He becomes their everything, their hobby, their interest, their fixer upper project, everything.
Yep.
They're always worried about him. So they're not doing any of this work that we're talking about on this interview. They're not doing any of that. And they totally lose themselves once that relationship goes up in smoke. It's really sad.
Yeah, I was her. And what we'll say, if people were ever wondering where it clicked for me, I was dating, this was my last guy that I dated. And I remember asking him, I said, hey, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Mind you, he he lived with his mom. He was in jail for 8 years. He had just been out for about 2 or 3. And I was that girl that always dated the fixer-upper guys. I got them. I'm going to help them. I'm going to inspire them. And he sat there and he said, I guess I got to figure that out. It was then that I realized I am wasting my time. Yep.
Ooh, wee.
And it dawned on me then that I'm like, what the hell am I doing? And also, vision boards helped. When I started doing my vision boards again and actually really implementing what I wanted to do, and I started seeing them come alive when I didn't have a man, I'm like, holy crap, girl, you the boss, you the ish. You don't need them. But yeah, that's when it
Okay.
came.
I have one more question about for you.
I
I wanted
gotcha.
to talk about that calculator that you had where
Mm.
you try to women figure out their worth
Yes.
going by the faults and
Boss.
flaws and
Mhm.
the benefits or whatever. Anyway, I know I'm not displaying it really well, but I thought that concept was brilliant. So can
Okay.
you kind of go over that?
Yep. So I am going over it now. So when I created it, it was how I learned to find my worth. And what I did was you calculate all of the good things about you, of course. It's always good to calculate the good things about you. My bad. I'm actually pulling it up so I can look myself. Because I have to remember by offhand. I ain't gonna remember that. So it's what's your self-worth? So assets are what do you have to offer, correct? And so it's a positive outlook, whether if it's, the things that you have to offer. And they don't have to be things, they're things within yourself. But assets, the first thing we think is, do I have a big house? Do I have a big, a nice car, the newer
Right.
cars? Do I have and you have to scratch that out. Nope. When I say assets, what do you have to add that only you have within you? And it's nothing, money cannot buy that. So if you're a positive person, you know, if you're a person who likes to look on the outside of things or look on the great side of things, if you're the person who is willing to go forth and on beyond, let's add that. Okay. Now, liabilities are what you are subtracting. Now, a lot of times we'll subtract the things we don't have. Oh, okay, my car is a 2005. Oh, I went to school a few times, but I ain't getting no degree. So we subtract those things. No, liabilities are things that you don't necessarily have, but things that you will never accomplish within yourself. So liabilities for me were you doubt yourself. You stop believing in yourself. You stop telling yourself, oh, I can't do this because X, Y, and Z. Then you have the mindset. It's the mindset. Oh, I have 3 kids with 3 different guys, so I'm not worthy. We take that off. That's a liability because that's keeping you from adding to yourself. And with all of that combined, then you will know your worth. So
Gotcha.
that's how I did it. Um, and I was teaching women that this calculator is all about you and not what you have, but what within you can obtain. So that's it.
Okay. Well, why don't we, I want to give people an idea where they can find out some more information about you.
Sure.
And we'll put a link to, is your book on Amazon?
It is on Amazon, The
Okay, then I'll
Prescription of
put a
Super.
link there.
Uh-huh. Yep.
I'll put a link
Uh-huh.
to the book in the show description down below. But
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
give it this little sum up of what self-worth means to you and what kind of takeaways you want the ladies to, to take from this interview.
Absolutely. So self-worth to me means loving yourself, accepting yourself, believing in yourself, and also knowing your flaws are not a downgrade, but an upgrade because who is perfect? No one. So that is what self-worth means to me. Why I chose to go into this field like life coaching and spiritual coaching because I wanted to empower other women the same way I was once empowered by women within my family and even my father because all of us need somebody. You can find me on Instagram at Arthur Dana Lynn. And then also on Facebook at Arthur Dana Lynn as well.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for
Thank you
visiting
for
with
this
me this
opportunity.
evening.
Girl, yeah, I love this. I love talking about this. I think all women need to understand. Stop settling. That's all I can say. Stop settling. And it's okay to be single. Singlehood is not a disease, it's a necessity.
Yes. And love yourself while you're going through all of this. Thanks, Dana.
Yes, ma'am.
Enjoy the
Thank
rest of
you
your
so much.
evening. I will be
You
in touch
too.
real soon.
Okay, thank you. Bye
Okay,
bye.
bye-bye.